standing at the edge of a career precipice, watching for years of brutal work get handed away, without a second thought changes. A person forever. I sat inside that frozen executive room while my superior slid a slick new organizational chart across the display monitor, effectively wiping my legacy clean. The room became completely silent as everyone realized what had just occurred. My name is Sienna, and for nearly half a decade, I was the sole heart behind our revolutionary data engine at Vanguard Technologies. I had poured hundreds of late nights into building that complex platform from an initial napkin sketch into a multi-million-dollar enterprise tool. My team trusted me completely because I had spent years shielding them from corporate politics. When Preston first recruited me to leave a high-paying software position, he swore that corporate politics would never touch our sanctuary. He promised me an absolute meritocracy where pure talent and sheer output were the only metrics that truly mattered. For 3 solid years, he actually kept that promise, allowing us to build an unbeatable software foundation. Everything shifted the moment our company closed a massive funding deal with a notorious venture capital titan named Harrison. Along with that massive influx of capital came the self-entitled young son of Harrison, named Tristan, a fresh graduate, whose only real talent was talking loudly while possessing zero technical knowledge. Preston suddenly started treating the young man like corporate royalty. Preston forced me to include Tristan in our critical architectural reviews, ordering me to make the young man feel useful and included. Tristan constantly disrupted high-level strategy sessions with absurd ideas, eventually claiming full credit for technical breakthroughs my team had spent weeks fixing while he was out dining. Preston allowed it all to keep the investor happy. The absolute breaking point occurred during a morning presentation when Preston clicked to a revised hierarchy graphic. Tristan was displayed prominently at the top as the new executive project leader, while my name was shoved into a tiny footnote labeled secondary technical advisor. I was effectively being forced to train the very person who had stolen my work. The entire room fell into an icy silence as my brilliant lead engineer, Jenna, stared at me in total shock. I did not yell or create a scene, but instead I simply folded my laptop shut, unclipped my access badge, and slid it directly across the mahogany desk toward my red-faced superior before walking out of the room forever. As I walked down the hallway toward the elevator bank, Jenna jogged behind me and quietly tossed her own keycard into the wall disposal slot. Within seconds, my phone vibrated with automated system alerts, showing that my top data architects had also submitted immediate resignations. Straight from the conference room, Preston was left standing completely alone in horror. I immediately boarded a flight for a remote-to-week retreat without cell service, leaving Preston to face the total destruction of his flagship software product. Upon my return to civilization, I learned that Preston had panicked and hired an elite external consulting agency at absurd rates to salvage the complex codebase. Their attempt failed beyond all expectation. Those high-priced consultants lasted less than 7 days before completely terminating their contract in total defeat. They officially informed executive management that the underlying algorithms were far too intricate and deeply tied to my core logic structure, making the entire platform impossible to operate without its original architect. The risk of total system failure was absolute. Soon after, Harrison contacted me directly on a private line, skipping past Preston entirely in a desperate attempt to fix the situation. He arrogantly offered me a massive executive title and salary bump, provided I agreed to work beneath his incompetent son who would remain the official figurehead of the software project. He assumed everyone had a financial price. I told Harrison directly that my pride and self-respect were not for sale at any price, and I hung up the phone without hesitation. Word of the internal disaster spread quickly across the tech sector, and within weeks, a major competing firm hired me and my former team to lead their brand new innovation division with complete operational freedom. 3 months later, the annual tech summit arrived, and Vanguard Technologies was forced to deliver their scheduled keynote demonstration before thousands of attendees. Preston took the stage looking utterly drained, introducing Tristan as the brilliant mind behind the platform to an eager hall filled with prominent investors, journalists, and competing software executives. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Tristan stepped under the bright spotlights in an expensive suit, but the second he attempted to execute a live demonstration, the software froze completely. Within moments, the massive display screens behind him turned into a bright blue system crash error, exposing his complete lack of technical mastery and preparation to the entire standing audience. Panic erupted on stage. A prominent industry reporter stood up during the question session and asked a simple, technical question regarding system safety that Tristan could not answer. He stammered helplessly while looking at Preston for rescue, prompting Harrison to stand up from the front row and walk out in total disgust. The public humiliation was absolute and complete for everyone involved. The very next morning, Harrison pulled all funding from Vanguard Technologies, causing their stock value to plummet by 90% in hours. The company went completely bankrupt within months, allowing my new employer to buy their intellectual property assets for pennies while Preston lost his entire career standing in the industry. Neither of them ever recovered professionally. 1 year later, I stood on that exact same conference stage launching a superior software suite alongside Jenna and my loyal core engineers. Walking away was never about seeking revenge, but about recognizing my true worth and letting an ungrateful institution collapse under the weight of its own terrible choices. Real success is always the ultimate answer to betrayal.